Now this could be the perfect gift for someone who doesn't know much about coins and hasn't been interested in them. Usually when you see videos about coins, the videos talk about what's something valuable you might find in your pocket that you can be rich beyond the dreams of avarice. But it could be other things. And but that's not been the emphasis on this channel. Here, the emphasis one is that the coins have something interesting. They're not just valuable, like putting money into some kind of a, faceless investment or bank account. These are, in fact, bits of history. American history, as it so turns out. Now, what's interesting about this particular pile of coins is that there's nothing valuable here. Now, let me condition that. Obviously, a gold coin here like this is worth a lot of money, but it's only the gold. The date is common. Mint mark, the most common of those. The grade is not that high. In short, outside the bullion value, it has little to no other value. Some of these others don't even have bullion value. But this is like history. Here is a penny, 1 cent. It looks really crappy because it has obviously been circulated many, many times. When one holds a coin like this, you're holding a piece of history. That which wears it down and makes it relatively worthless as a numismatic coin, this one you can't even be certain of the date. I think it's in 1856. Looks like I can almost pull that out. But I'm not totally sure. But the very thing that wore it down in terms of and made it useless as a numismatic coin, or very nearly so, at the same time makes it interesting as a piece of history. You can only imagine how many hands this has passed through, how many times this single 1 cent coin, presumably made in 1856, has been used in the buying and selling of all manner of goods and services by all manners of people, spent and respent so many times it is worn flat almost. This coin has been a lot of places over the past many, many years. Well, some of these are fairly recent and not too hard to find. Franklin half. Okay. Silver Washington quarter. Okay. Temporary 1 cent. Some of them are somewhat older. Only a few of these have not been designed for circulation. They probably properly don't belong with this set. But sometimes you have something like that. Many of them are silver. Silver nickel. Again, it just goes to show that there's a lot more. There's something about being able to hold a coin in your hand, as distinct from looking at it through a bit of glass or plastic and always having to keep your fingers off of it because so much as a fingerprint could knock the coin down a grade or two. I mean, what's the point of having a beautiful MS-70 coin and you can look at it through glass or plastic, but it's like it's not real. It's not really a coin. Now, another thing about this, You hold it, you feel the weight of it, you feel the thickness, you look at the edge. You can even flip it and see how it rings. You know? And you do that with a coin that sits inside a piece of plastic. Now, all these coins have the distinctive sounds when you ring them or when you flip them. And that's part of the fascination with these things, is that when the alloy is the same, the sound is the same. So, let's take silver dollars. There's a peace dollar. Well, we have an Ike dollar. Well, this is a regular Ike dollar. We have a Liberty dollar. Alright, now, and somewhere in here we have a Morgan dollar. Now, let's see how these all sound. Now, these are all just kind of leftover tailings from another collection. All the seconds and thirds and fourths that are generally not wanted out of much better sets. This was probably a little bit more, but still, it's fairly, it's good enough that you can see it, but not so good that it's worth a consequential amount of money. This one might be a bit. There's a couple in here that would be worth something even in the condition they're here. This is one of them. But they sound the same because, metallically speaking, they are the same. But when you move to a 40% silver, which is what I wanted to show with this thing, the sound differs. And when there's no silver at all, it has still another sound. See, how many people know that about these coins? It's the same thing also with half dollars. Again, you have old half dollars and new ones. Let's see here. I'm not doing bicentennials this time, but I'm going to do now you can do any number of different half dollars. Okay. Oops, hold on, I didn't get that right. Oof. Okay. There we go. Let's try this again. I don't think I flipped it right. There we go. So, I'm going to get the ring out of it. They don't really change much at all. Okay. So these are all your normal 90% silver half dollars. So they all sound the same. Then you have your silver clad. It has a different sound. And then you're just clad. You have a different sound. So it just goes to show you, what it's made of. Even though they're all legitimate, they have a number of different sounds to them. You can look at the different sizes. And I see like a 1943 cent. It's always kind of unusual seeing a cent that has a different color to it because it's made of something different. And it's kind of lightweight. Not as lightweight as the new pennies, but more lightweight than the regular cents that one normally sees. And definitely more lightweight than some of the, let's see here. You can find all kinds of cool stuff in here. Here we go. Say an Indian head cent from the earliest days Look at how thick that thing is. I mean, you can actually see it's actually thicker than the regular cent. It comes after it. Because it's heavier. So, like I say, it's just something really special about being able to, I mean, how many times can you just hold an actual Flying Eagle cent, 1858? Look at that. Horrible condition, barely worth anything. If it were worth more, I couldn't hold it like this. But since it's just a super low grade coin, again, some of these things, low grade, common date, they can have bullion value in many cases. Even the silver coins will have that, though not so much. And of course, the gold coins, look at that. You have a different wreath on the 1859 Indian head. Wow. So, but there's so many other things that people don't know anything about. Quarters once had a different look from how they have now, or have had in recent times. Nickels used to have the Indian design. You've probably seen those around, but how many people remember when this was what you'd find in your pocket just normally? Not because you bought it, not because somebody gave it to you, you inherited it, but just because, wow. I mean, a shield nickel, look at that, 1868 it looks like. Pretty shabby. It's not worth anything, but you can hold it. And you can also see, look at this, you actually see how the nickel grew slightly in diameter, going from the shield design to the Liberty Head design. It also got very slightly thinner. You can actually see the difference, just barely. But you can see it. So there's a lot of really interesting designs. They used to have the Liberty seated for a while there. Every silver coin had that. 5 cents was represented not by the nickel, but by the half dime. Although there was also a season where you could have that same value represented by either one of these things equivalently. It's kind of interesting. You look around and see, once upon a time, a 5-cent piece was a tiny silver coin, smaller than a dime. And smaller still than that was the 3 cents. Now, once again, this one's so beat up, I can't be certain the date. I think it's in 1852, but I could very easily be wrong. Now, there is another coin here that might have some worth beyond its bullion value, and that's a 20-cent piece. Again, commonest date, 1875 S. The grade is really low, although it wears its grade pretty well, all said and told. You can really see the basic idea of the coin. Makes it perfect for this sort of thing. So, in newer times, they have to make coins interesting with various gimmicks. That is a nice portrait of Thomas Jefferson, however. Or by selling coins. It's amazing some of the things that can sometimes turn up. An actual silver dime after they stopped making them. But this was obviously meant for a proof set. Like I said, it's amazing some of the things you can find just floating around out there. So, again, it's 1879, no mint mark, lousy condition. It's a piece of bullion. So it has some value, some interest, but it's a piece of bullion. So I guess these are kind of special in that regard. Most of this stuff was just kind of found. A few things were not. Well, anyway, 2-cent pieces. Yeah, how do you even know about a 2-cent piece? Somebody tried to make a hole in this. People tend to do stuff like that to their coins. Can't think why. I mean, look at that. 1838. And there's a hole right in the middle of it. And some pretty harsh stuff has happened to this 1 cent over the years from when it was made in 1838 until now. One has to wonder why. But every one of these coins has a lot of history to it. Every one of these coins, pretty much, with only a few exceptions, have been a lot of places. Been handled by many, many hands, rode around in many pockets and purses. Where have they been? Who has handled them? You have a piece of history here, American history. 1861. In 1861, the Civil War was just getting started. Going back to 1838, how many states did you have? Who was president? What kind of things were going on at that time? Well, that's just how old these coins are. So much history has happened since then. Anyway, there's something to be said for that. This is the sort of thing that can get, that can make a jar like this just the perfect thing as a gift for somebody that might be interested in coins, might see them as more than just, oh, let's see, I can get so much money for the gold in this, or maybe I can get so much money by this or this, because even in this condition, these are still worth something. To me, the coins should be interesting because they're just interesting. It's interesting to see how pennies would have looked more than 100 years ago, or any other thing. Indeed, this is the first of a series of 3 videos. In the other 2, my goal is simply to show just year by year what the American coinage would have looked like from year to year to year with just a single type coin. Look at that, 1883, the very first year. But this one has cents on it, which actually makes it, although they made more of them, it's now rarer because the ones that didn't say cents were seen as more interesting at the time because of the story, how people would use those by plating them with gold and passing them off as $5 gold pieces. What a lot of people, but that shows, is a rather surprising fact that people might not think of, that a gold $5 piece is almost exactly the same size as a nickel. That's why a nickel plated with gold, and if it doesn't say cents on the back, like this one does, might be mistaken for a $5 gold. Oh, it's a new design. No, it's a nickel that somebody plated with gold. So they had to change it. So a lot of these have these interesting old stories, why they are the way they are. How the quarter was easily confused with a 20-cent piece or vice versa. You know, you put the two next to each other, almost the same year even, off by one, and you can see that they're very similar. Except you can also see in the edge, the quarter had a reeded edge. The 20-cent had a smooth edge. And of course the eagles look a little bit different. So, this is the idea. Just to be able to know the coins really well. The beauty of being able to hold one and just think of all the different hands that have held this coin since it was made. You are holding literally a piece of American history in your hand. The exotic denominations, look at this. $3. Why did they even make a $3? You know, they had to make it out of gold because that's a lot of money. For the day, even $1 was a lot. $2.50. Incus design, look at that. You can feel it. Put your finger in there and actually trip it on that. Because it's incus. $2.50. Wow. You know, they had gold, both dollars in gold as well as in silver. And you just have to, you know, $20 and $10 and $5 we've talked about. But they also had other ones. You saw a little silver 3-cent piece. But if you look around in a pile like this enough, you can see here, there's our silver 3-cent again. Let's see here, somewhere in all of this, though, is a different kind of 3-cent piece. One or two. Yeah. Where did it go? Where did it go? And then here's another 3-cent. Look at that. A couple of silver ones. Well, let's see here. We had 20-cent, we had 3-cent, we looked at 2-cent. Oh. 1 cent. Ah. Here's another weirdie you probably wouldn't have seen. A lot of people don't realize. ½ Half of a cent. Imagine if you charge some amount of something and 1/2 cent and insist on exact change. Someone would have to give one of these. Oh, here's the other little tiny gold. I mean, look at the size of that thing. It's really tiny. Again, these 2 gold dollars, they changed the diameter, they changed the thickness. You can see how the diameter expanded. And how the thickness shrank. But I'm trying to find one more thing, and then I'm going to call it quits if I can find it. But here we go. Another kind of 3-cent piece. So ½ cent, lots of 1 cents, 2 cent, 3 cent. Okay, 5 cents either as the nickel or as the silver half dime. your normal 10 cents in a lot of different forms of dimes, 20 cent, 25 cents, lots of different kinds of quarters, 50 cents, dollars, dollars in silver, dollars in gold, 2.5, 3, 5, 10, 20, so many different denominations. There's so much to get interested in American coinage. Large dollars, small dollars. Anyway, that's enough. Well, the next one, I'll start a series where we talk about the design changes year by year in a systematic manner. Thanks for watching.